Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to YouTube. I am Danielle, better known as Danielle The Happy Medium, and it has been too long. I've got to be honest, really too long. I have missed each and every one of you over here on YouTube. Thank you for your patience while I've been very busy. In the background with many different things, but it's always a pleasure to be back live streaming here with you lot to answer all your questions on mediumship development, all things spiritual, and anything you want to ask me, as long as you keep it clean. So as I say, I am Danielle, and I am always happy to help anyone who wants to ask me any questions. Let me talk a little bit about the boring stuff, which is classes, courses, and things that I have available via the website, which is www.theoddbodschoolofmediumship.com. There is some brand new packages up for the US lot. There is some brand new packages of one-off classes with regards to mediumship, mentorship programs, all of the things. So if you want to check it out, you can check it out over on the website and you can purchase them all there. Or you can drop me an email. Email is in the description box below, or you can get that from the website only. A few of you are starting to join, so great stuff. I always like to have you here with me. Hopefully a few of you will comment and let me know that you can hear me okay, you can see me okay. Let me know how everything's going for you. Angela's saying evening, Danielle. Evening, Angela. I hope you're well out there in Buddy, Spain. I hope things are well out there for you, and I bet the weather's picking up. It is up here in the north, where I am, in the northeast of England. So it's certainly it feels spring in the air. Let's put it that way. So let me know how the weather is out there. Margaret's in. Hiya, Margaret. I hope you're well, and I hope you're keeping okay. And thanks very much for your comment. Like I say, a few more of you are just sort of filter in and join on as well. This is an opportunity for you to start and write your comments in the box, or your questions in the box, I should say. Let me know how it sounds for you. Let me know how the picture is for you. Look, it looks okay at my end, but YouTube can be a bit glitchy from time to time. It certainly doesn't always play ball, I've got to be honest. And it can be a little bit. Afternoon, Vicky. Hiya, Vicky. Nice to see you. Pleased to have you in here as well. It can be a little bit glitchy, YouTube, also, so do let me know. Kathy's in as well. Hello, Kathy, love. I hope you're well and you're keeping all right. I'm off for my COVID jab tomorrow, so I'm very excited about that there as well. Also, so yeah, it's all go over here at Danielle The Happy Medium. We have some new staff, which I'm sure some of you will come to meet if you're interacting with us quite regularly. I'm very excited to have a new team with us, and it's certainly looking like things are getting very exciting. A couple of other things that are also coming in. We have some more work coming in regards to Canada, Australia, and also the US in person. More details will be released over the next couple of weeks. I've just booked a place, so a space. A good friend of mine is helping me out there with a space out in the US. So I'm very excited to be working with that individual also. Hazel's in, Martha's in, Tessa's in saying, love the hair. Well, thank you very much. Yes, I'm forever changing it, I've got to be honest. Back to blonde. I was red for a long time, but we've gone back to blonde because I genuinely like being blonde. So thank you very much for your beautiful comment. So yes, lots of exciting things coming. We've got some brand new adventures coming. My third book is going to be available at the end of the year. I'm very excited to be launching that there also. Shan's in as well, so hi to Shan. Thank you for joining me. Like I say, ladies, when you're ready, you can certainly pop your questions in the comments box, and I will certainly endeavour to answer them to the very best of my ability. Take what resonates, dump the rest. That's my answer here. Certainly don't take everything as gospel. It is all through my perception, my reality, and my understanding of the spirit world. Del's in. Hello, my friend. How are we? Are we doing okay? I haven't seen you in such a long time. I hope things are keeping all right. I hope you're okay and still shining as always, Del. If anything, I'm shining a lot more brighter these days. So yeah, I'm in a really strong position at the minute, which is very nice. And I hope you're keeping well too. Let me know. Mar said, hi, how did you fall into teaching mentorship, and do you do courses for mentors? So how did I fall into it? It just happened naturally. It was a natural progression of my mediumship. It just sort of come to me. It never really sort of, it wasn't something I was looking for, which has been, it seems to be a bit of a running theme with me and the spirit world, I've got to be honest. I don't tend to look for them. It just sort of happens for me. And subsequently from that, I started very sort of doing one-to-ones and platform and demonstrational work, and teaching just sort of fell to me, and I sort of picked that up and run with it, and it sort of worked with me, and it continuously gets stronger and better the more I do of it, which I suppose it's like any tool set. So yeah, it just sort of come to me. It fell in my lap, if that makes sense. Ma, do you do courses for mentors? So do I teach mediums to be teachers? Yes I do. I'm a big fan of empowering mediums, I've got to be honest. I did a lot of teaching last year and teaching other mediums to teach other students, which was for open circles. There's something that, again, I'm working on quite diligently in the background. There's been some new classes and courses and things built over the last couple of months. I've been very busy in the background. It may have looked very quiet, but trust me, I'm anything but quiet. But a lot of things I tend to keep to myself these days for various reasons. It's important that I do them things. But yes, in short, your answer, Ma, is the question and answer to your question. So I hope that helps you out there a little bit. Andrew's saying, haven't had our jobs yet. Well, the best of luck with that one there. I have to have mine for work purposes. So I'm very, I wasn't overly keen, but because of the work and because of work purposes, I have to have it. So, but I'm sure you'll be getting yours very, very soon. Christine saying, even Dana, hi Christine, how are you? I'm really, really good, actually, thank you very much. I've been very busy today, just doing bits and pieces and working on things in the background. And you're loving the dress. Thank you very much. It's new. It's new. I treat myself to a new frock. As obviously I'm going back out demonstrating, I've got to start and look at all of them types of things again. So yes, while I've been in lockdown, I haven't really needed to, dress up, but as we're coming out of lockdown and as I'm going back to doing demonstrational work, the wardrobe has needed to take a little bit of a sprucing up. So it's one of the new frocks of many that I have purchased over the last couple of months. So thank you for that, and thank you very much for your beautiful comment. Power of Words says, good evening, Danielle. Good evening, Power of Words. I hope you're well. Teresa's saying, I'm a busy mom. Yep, and sometimes the only chance I get to sit in the power is just before bed. Yep, maybe around 15-20 minutes before I fall asleep. Is that enough to help my development? I do it every night. Yes, is the answer to your question. Any sitting is better than no sitting. So even if you're only sitting for, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 minutes, or you're sitting for 2 hours, any sitting is good. So yes, in short to that question, yes. Then you said to us, once when sitting in the power, I started to doze off and heard my spirit guide say, got to run along now, speaking has been right in my ear as if it was there. Yeah, they'll do that from time to time, the spirit world. Sometimes, as I've spoke about before on the channel, but for the purposes of those who are maybe new, we have external clairvoyance and external clairaudience, my apologies there, and we also have internal clairaudience. Now, for those who don't know what clairaudience is, it's an ability to hear the spirit world. Now, external is where we'll hear it with our own ears. Internal is when we'll hear it inside of our mind. Both is one and the other. Both of them are fine. There is no issue or problem with either one of them. I do both. I sometimes hear the spirit world with my own thoughts, but then I sometimes also hear them as if they were speaking to me in regards to chatting in my ear. So that's not a problem, Teresa, none at all. So fine, both of them. And as with many of us guides, they're not always there because they're busy doing their thing, and they don't need to be always. They're always available to us when we need them, but they are always busy doing their sort of things in the spirit world. They're learning, progressing and growing, so they will be running along. And as I've said before, guides don't just work with us, they work with other teams, if that makes sense. So it's important that you understand that them guides are going to be with you sometimes, and then they're also going to be in other places working, improving their skill set also. So guides are always available to us, as I say, but they can and will always be doing other things in the spirit world. So I hope them answers both of your questions, Teresa. Christine saying, I can't wait for the next book. Neither can I, to be fair, like Christine. Neither can I. You know, it's become a bit of a bit of a bug, that, like, that writing malarkey. I really do enjoy, writing. Um, my second book I was very, very happy with. The first book could have always done with more work. But I think that was a learning curve for me, like anything. I never wrote books before. I'd never really getting into that type of thing. So, but my third book, I constantly now I'm always wanting to improve them. I'm wanting them to be the very best excuse me, that they can be. So yes, I'm very looking forward to the third book, and I'm sure it'll be as much of a hit as the first one has been. So yeah, looking forward to be out round about Christmas time. But yes, I'm very excited for that one. And there will be more books thereafter. I'm a little off time scale, but I did do 3 books in the space of about 3.5 years. So not too bad, not too bad. But I'm looking forward to it. Margaret saying, I've just purchased your book, excited to read it. Well, let me know, if you want to leave a review. So for anybody who doesn't know the book that I'm talking about, it's called Freestyling Mediumship. It is available via Amazon. If you've already bought it and you'd like to, and you've read it, and you liked it, or maybe you didn't like it, whichever floats your boat, by all means go on over Amazon. I would love a review. It is available outside in the US by Barney and Noble. I think it's on Apple Store. It's on a few different platforms, so certainly check that one out. And certainly let me know your thoughts and feelings on that in regards to your review via Amazon or the other platforms on which that it's sold on. I would really be interested to hear what you have to say. Teresa saying, on a previous course, someone took information the reader gave them, saying it sounded like their parents-in-law, neighbour. Do spirit come through even if they barely know? So we're starting to work within the parameters of the intelligence. So the intelligence is always at play in any reading we do, whether it be in a personal setting, whether it be in a circle, whether it be wherever, whether it be in a demonstration of mediumship. That intelligence is always working, and lots of people don't always understand the intelligence that they're working with. And for me, it's an important part of your mediumship to understand your intelligence, not only the logical side of intelligence, but also the emotional side of intelligence. But what you're talking about is logical intelligence. And the spirit world is always working within them parameters of that intelligence. And they will always know what evidence is important enough to give over to get that particular individual placed. It may be brief, but what brief evidence does come forward should be and will be relevant to the parents and the law of the neighbour. Because ultimately, without that intelligence, you can't then prove their evidential mediumship. So therefore, it's a waste of not only the spirit world's time, but also the intelligence in which that's been worked with. So the spirit world will always, even if it is just a small amount, will probably be either quite accurate or quite bang on, I've got to be honest with you, to make sure that that intelligence and that the sitters in front of them understand what it is that's been spoke about. But in answer to your question, yes, they will come through, even if they only barely knew them, but that intelligence is still being used in some capacity. Intelligence can be used in many different ways, but for the purposes of your question, that would be the answer in which that I would give yes. Christine saying, yay, exactly, yay. I'm very excited. I've got to be honest with you, Christine. Kathy's saying, is there anything else besides sitting in the power that I would recommend for your development? Patience. As much as a lot of people don't really like me saying that, and a lot of people, think that mediumship is instant results, and in some areas, yes, it is. I can never get away from that. But it's also important that we understand for the bigger parameters of foundations. I think a lot of people don't always realize this. When we're doing mediumship or when we're doing mediumship development, it's important we build on solid foundations. And the reason we do that for is so that we have somewhere to go to, because mediumship's very up and down. And when the foundations that you're building on isn't steady, what can happen is that they can start to crumble, a bit like a house, for example. So what happens is it's important that we understand that we don't rush the development. We allow that development to sort of release itself naturally. There's some bits and pieces we can do to actively encourage it to move forward, just sitting and things like that. But it's important that we understand patience, and we understand that patience is a very big part of your mediumship. And that comes with building this spiritual intelligence, understanding the intelligence that you work with, understanding your spiritual relationship, not only with guides, but also how you work with communicators, the way in which that you talk to communicators, how you work with them deceased loved ones, and how you speak to them. They are just some of the things that we have to have a good foundation in. Understanding your personal development is also a biggie. Lots of mediums that I've seen over the last 18 months to a year have a lot of what I call mediumistic development, but very little personal development. And without the personal development, you are going to find that at times your mediumship development needs to take a back seat while you get the instrument up and on its feet to be able to align with that mediumship development. The reason I say this form, why I talk about personal development so much is that at times when we're still working from that inner child or that sort of ego base or wound based set, we can take things very personally. We can think that we take offense when people don't like the work in which that we produce. We get very sort of worried about what people think or don't think. And with mediumship and mediumship development, you've got to have, I heard this saying a long time by another medium, you've got to have a thick skin but still keep that warm heart, because we are working with the public. The public have an expectation, as much as it pains me to say that, Kathy, they do. And the expectation, especially within the world in which that we live in now, is that we can produce anything and give anything. And unfortunately, the spirit world isn't in demand for anybody. The spirit world is only going to produce what is relevant, needed, and with good use of intelligence and evidential mediumship to be able to help things along. So for me, we have a situation which is where we have the sitter who is expecting something, where we still have the spirit world who are working within their natural confinities, their natural laws, if this makes sense. So patience is a big thing that I always say to my students. Yet I see a lot of the students frustrated because it's not working the way that they want it to work, or it's the other students are getting in and they're not. And because of that, that can then trip the ego, or they can then trip the inner child or the wounds, referring back to the personal development. We always have to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Even if their development's in different stages, we should always be rooting on for the fellow man, even when we're like sort of not stuck, but let me rephrase and find a better word for that, where we are maybe having to just revise the things in which that we are doing. It's very important, and I'll say this to anybody who's listening, or to anybody who works within my training classes. Building that relationship is one of the biggest things you will probably do for your mediumship, and that foundation, and that so that when things do go wrong, and which they will go wrong, and I say this quite a lot to people, if it's going wrong, you're getting it right. And people look at me a bit weird when I say that. You're not learning anything when you're getting it right all the time. It's when you're in them places of struggle, when them foundations are being tested, will you learn the biggest lessons and also the biggest achievements in your mediumship. So for me, Kathy, patience is the biggest one that I say to people. Sitting in the power will help. Development will also help. Making sure that you're doing as much personal development as mediumistic development will also help you as well. Working with like-minded people who are on your vibrations, always helpful too. Read some books if you're into books. It depends on which way you're going to go. You can do both, but there would be some of the things that I would certainly recommend to sort of encourage that development to move forward. But again, it's a patience thing, and like I say, many people probably go, oh, Danielle, I'm sick of hearing that, but it is a patience game, and I know that myself through my own development. There's many things that I've wanted, or there's many things that I would have liked more in my development, but it hasn't been not the right time. I hope you are still. My apologies there. We just lost the connection there for a minute. Just lost the thing. Yeah, definitely patience, definitely. Sorry, we lost the connection there just for a second, so I hope everybody's still with me. So I hope that helps you, Kathy, there in a little bit. Vicky's saying, can a message be meant for more than one person, even if someone else understands it and takes it? This is where we get into the parameters of evidence. For me personally, Vicky, if we're working as an evidential medium or any medium for that place, I think it's important that we look at the kind of evidence we're producing. If you're giving quite generalized, not so much vague, I don't like that word vague, generalized, maybe non-specific evidence, then yes, it can then become very available to just about everyone. And it's important, as when we're working as the medium or as the evidential medium, we're striving to find that next possible, what I call key pieces of evidence. They're pieces of evidence that are very different. So, for example, let me give you an example. I was with a class this week, Wednesday. I run classes on a Wednesday, 6-week classes. And there was a girl in there who was working with a gentleman who had given her granddad, but then got on talking about boats and that he had this boat, and this boat had capsized out in the water, and that he had staff on the boat, and you know, these types of things. That to me is quite what I would call unique. It's specific, it's very unusual, versus I've got granddad here, he would have worn a flat cap, he's got a jacket on, you know, he's got cancer. That's going to be quite available to many people, where this, it's quite specific, it's quite what I would call key, it's punchy evidence, it's what I call punchy evidence, which will help you to be able to find probably the right sitter. Now, in the same breath of that, Vicky, I have to mention this. When we are doing messages, sometimes what may happen is the spirit world is very aware, using the intelligence again, that they're not going to get round everybody in regards to messages. And this is more so probably on platform or gallery work, depending on, you know, where you sit within the world for them things. And so the spirit world will sometimes bring through maybe a message that sounds, for many in the room, and the message might even be quite similar too. And then that's so that everybody gets something, if this makes sense. Even if it's not specifically theirs, they will gain something from that and sort of be touched maybe by that, so that they may not feel as upset or sad or worried that their loved ones haven't come through. So there's a couple of elements I would give you on that one, Vicky. I think it's important that I always see the bigger picture. And with the spirit world, what you tend to find is there's never one right answer, no one wrong answer. It's a lot of shades of different colours, greys, blacks and whites. And it's important that we always, when we're answering any question or even looking at development or anything, we're always looking at the bigger picture in every capacity. So I hope that answers your question a little bit for you there, and thank you for your question. Sarah's in. Good evening, Sarah. I hope you're well. Tracy's in. Good evening, Tracy. Okay. A departed loved one said that they learn from us too. What could they possibly learn from us? So let me tell you a little thing. So I've just reopened my private sittings after being away from private sittings for just shy of a year. And I can remember, and I've done many private sittings over the years, Tracy. I can remember that there was a few loved ones that have come through over them time and space. And they've often said to me, you've done a good job. Now, what I mean by that is I've been given a reading to a particular loved one in front of me from a person in the spiritual realms, and they have been very happy with the evidence in which that has come through. They're very happy and acknowledge the work me as the instrument has done. So what I want to say to you there is they can be learning and teaching you to show you that you're doing a good job. What you have to understand with loved ones and with anybody in the spirit world, guides, you know, instruments, whatever it may be, they're always learning in some capacity. They're learning a level. Now, when we talk about learning, we're not talking about learning as in physical tasks. So here to the earth world, we learn things in regards to how to drive a car, how to make a house, how to, you know, balance the checkbook, if this makes sense. What they're learning is a higher frequency of understanding of consciousness, another level of awareness through kindness, gratitude, looking at how they can support themselves differently to how they may have supported themselves here to the earth world. So when we talk about learning, they're learning how to interact with us better with their minds if they were doing messages, how they can improve their skill set or their uses of their skill sets of energy when they're blending with a medium's mind. So the loved ones or guides or whoever it is over there are actually doing quite a lot of work in regards to this area. And for me, I think it's a beautiful experience. You know, remember that not everybody is going to want to learn. Remember, not everybody is going to want to continuously do that growth, because again, it's a free will choice of the loved ones and also of the spirit world and of the guides. But most of them, with, you know, will always do some kind of learning in some capacity. So what I want to say to you there is that the departed loved ones are learning many different things, as is the guides and us as the instruments. But remember, they start learning things in how they maybe do messages, but also a higher level of consciousness and awareness. So hope that answers your question a little bit there for you, Tracy. Maxine's in. Good evening, Maxine. I hope you're well. Kathy's saying I've answered Kathy, so thank you for that, Kathy. Hazel's saying she's just booked 2 more courses. Yeah, you know, I'm very humbled actually. Classes are getting busier all the time, and they have been now for a little while, which is really, really nice. And I'm always very grateful in that capacity that people trust in me with their mediumship and also with their development. You know, I let my work speak for itself. I allow my, you know, my students do all the talking. You know, and I've seen great results with lots of my students. In fact, I've seen some amazing results, I've got to be honest. You know, and some of mine actually are out there in the industry working, which I think is a great attribute to me as the medium, that I actually have mediums out there now professionally working, not only private sitting but also on platform, which blows my mind. Like, I've got to be honest, it really does, it blows my mind. But I have the statement, I always want my students to be better than me. I always want my students to, you know, be able to whip my backside, you know what I mean? And that's another level of learning for me as well. So, but I'm grateful that you've booked, Hazel. I hope you enjoy them, and certainly I look forward to seeing what you have to think of them. Some of them are new as well. I've just put some new classes in, so I'm really excited to be bringing them to you. So thank you for that anyway. Teresa saying, after my dad passed, I had several dreams of him appearing as himself. One of them, I'm sure, was a visitation. Yep. After this, I have one more visitation. He appeared as a ball of light. Why did his appearance change? I've only ever had one visitation dream from my grandmother, and she appeared as a ball of light too. On and off here with the kids, but we'll listen in the background. Thanks very much. So what we have to understand is, and I say this to my students all the time, and many mediums will probably relate to this, we're always looking for the spirit world in respect of people. Because we need that. We need that tangible sort of, I'll just use this rubber, this tangible touch. So when we see people, it allows us to not be so worried or scared, is the best way I can put it. What you really have to understand, this is where I need your minds to maybe open up a little bit more, is that actually the spirit world is energy. That's all it is. There's massive amounts of different energy, different shapes, different sizes, different colors, different vibrations, whatever it may be. So what you have to understand here as the medium is to try and get this idea of descriptions, people, out of your mind and start looking at it from an energy point of view. And when you talk to me there about the fact that they're coming in as energy, that is how the spirit world's working with your mind. That's how you're actually seeing what I call pure energy. You're seeing the spirit world in its finest form. What we do is the medium is we put the imagery in. We need to see that imagery in order to believe that it may be true. But yet most of you are already given messages or talking to the spirit world or talking for the spirit world. So really you don't need the imagery, but you feel as a medium you do need the imagery. But what you really want to push your mind and open your mind to is just work with energy. And energy is everything that makes the spirit world what it is. And when you start reading energy and you start looking at energy through dream work, or whether you're doing that in your progression of development in circles or classes or whatever it may be, you're actually pure spirit on spirit, because they're tapping in through your mind, which you've shifted to the spirit world, into the database, and they're working energy on energy. So they're working energy on soul, soul on soul. So ultimately, it's probably in your very best interest, as most of you is watching this, or maybe them who's watching it maybe later on down the line, is to get yourself out of this idea that you need to see these people and get used to or wanting to work with energy, because the quicker you can allow the mind to do that, the quicker things are going to pick up for you as well, which may refer back a little bit to Kathy's question. So it's important that you see the spirit world, or try to at least do half and half. Even if you can't completely let go of all of these imageries of people and that type of thing, try some energy in some people and see how that works for you. As for what your question is, it's just the way your mind's perceiving that energy. So at one point you've needed the visualization of your dad or the imagery. The others, your mind's accepting it, and now you're seeing the spirit world as pure form, which is energy. No one is right, no one is wrong. It's just the way in which that you're perceiving the spirit world. But many should really look at how they're working with the spirit world, and can they fundamentally change that in some way to get a deeper, more, what I call, bigger awareness and an acceptance of the mind. I hope that answers your question a little bit there for Teresa. Let me know. I know it's like having children running around. I've been in that position many times before. But don't worry about it. I can't hear them, so it's not a problem. Melinda's saying, it makes me nuts, but I'm not worried about it. But realise that, excuse me, but realise that it's convenience with my mum getting hurt and need emergency service. Okay, no problem. Let me know a little bit more on that so I understand what you're talking to me about. No problem, Tracy, no problem at all. Sarah's saying, I'm good, thanks. Looking really great, Danielle. Thank you very much. You know, I do try my best to scrub up. I subconsciously 2 weeks ago thought my husband told me something, and he said a relative had been around a few days for the boy's house yesterday. Okay, give me more on that, because I don't quite. I've got bad news about the relative. It's a psychic parameter, that one there. Some people will say that the spirit world will tell you that, you know, certain people are going to pass to the spirit world, or that they are going to tell you about certain bad things of, you know, maybe certain things. I'm on the fence with that one, I've got to be honest. I'm not saying it's not possible. I never say anything's not possible with this spirit world, because I understand that anything's possible. If we use the terminology use of limitless, then there's any possibility that anything could possibly happen. So therefore, but for me, if I was to take it into the area of evidential mediumship, I would say to you that would be more psychic parameter, more than a mediumistic parameter. But given same token of that, I do know and have heard that the spirit world sometimes will give you a feeling that somebody's a little unwell, but will never normally predict death. But I have to say to you, everything is open to interpretation over there. It's again how your mind perceives that energy and how your mind looks at that energy. So, but I'm sorry to hear on your bad news, and I hope the relative is well, Sarah. I hope that answers the question a little bit for you there. Marcy, I've been doing a lot of readings, mentoring, and I couldn't connect at one point. Spirit said they need to protect the vessel. Try the next day. Does that happen to you? No, I've got to be honest. No, I've never heard of that one. The spirit world's never told me that they need to protect me from anything. Not in that capacity anyway. Not when I'm working for the spirit world, and my team's that tight anyway. I've got to be honest, I don't think I would get through my lot. But not that there's anything to really get through, because it depends. It's all about vibration. So if we're going to start looking at the psychic parameter, and I'm going to talk about this, we hear a lot about protection, throwing cloaks on, white lights up, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that if that's going to make you feel safe as the instrument, right? I'm never ever going to take anything from a mind that needs it, because for me, I could then throw that mind completely, and that mind would never come back from that space. So I'm going to say this straight up categorically, I would never say that. Do I believe in that? No, categorically I don't. But I would never judge another fellow man for believing that. But what I will say to you and what I will give you here, and maybe this may be helpful for some others maybe watching this, when we're working within the psychic world, this world, so this is the psychic world, our world, the earth world, we're always moving by the understanding of vibration, whether it be vibrational here or vibration in the spirit world. If you are sitting on a negative vibration, i.e. negative thought-based matter, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, nothing's working out for me, why isn't this happening? What you're doing is you're lining yourself up to all of the negativity that is available to you out there in the world. Yes, that's right. Because what happens is the thoughts don't hear where they're being directed. They're just hearing the vibration. That's all they're hearing. So what we have to understand here is that when we're doing any kind of reading, whether it be mediumistically or whether it be psychic, we got to look at the kind of vibrational match that we're putting in there as we go in. So if you're going in with, I'm tired, I'm having a lousy day, I'm feeling depressed, and you've got the person who's sitting in front of you in the same sort of caliber, it's an instant lineup. Straight away, instant lineup. Now, what tends to happen is with psychic work, if there's a vibrational match, it is your responsibility as the instrument to smash the link. It is your responsibility to pull your energy back, because as psychic, you're stepping into an oracle field. That's what you're doing. And if the vibrational match is the same, them two auric fields are now joined, right? What happens is the client gets up, walks away, but energy stretches, it alters, it moves, it warps. So it's important that when you're doing any kind of personal sitting, that you clear your energy off, ready for the next client. Now, this has got nothing to do with mediumship, because mediumistic energy and psychic energy is two very different things. When we're working with the spirit world, we're shifting the mind. We're taking the mind to another space, another level of awareness of where the spirit world is. And when we go into the spirit world, the energy is very different. They're not touching our energy. These are just my mechanics. I'm not saying that they're right. I'm just saying this is the kind of extensive work I've done with the spirit world over the last 2 year, 18 months, 2 year. And for me, the spirit world, I'm not interested in your energy because it's a completely different vibrational match. It doesn't even remotely match them over there. It's just something completely different. And what we're doing is when we're shifting the mind, we're moving the mind to another space, another reality, another level of awareness. So there's no way, if you're moving the mind there, that they could even touch the psychic prompt anyway, because your mind's in a different space. So what you have to understand is with mediumistic work is, again, we still have to be available and aware of the intention and the vibration we're taking there more. Because when we're shifting the mind, remember, we are the power that shifts the mind. But once we power it there and we move there, you're just holding it. You're not doing anything more. That's it. So what you have to understand is you have to be aware of the kind of intention or the kind of power you're using. So if, for example, you're going to do a mediumistic ability reading, evidential reading, whatever it may be, and you're going to your power is angry, you've had a massive argument with somebody 2 or 3 minutes prior, that will be sitting within your power, your psychic awareness. As you use that to shift your mind, you are probably going to have a vibrational match of the same frequency in the spirit world, because that's the power that took you to that shift, and then that's the power that's holding it in the spirit world. What you have to do is find your best alignment every time you're doing them types of sittings. You've got to find an awareness that even with the world crashing around and about you, it ain't bothering you. And therefore what you do is you put that on the back burner and still bring that positivity. You've got to learn it's about learning to what you're responding to and what you're not, what you're reacting to, what you're not, and what you're allowing to flood in here and what you're not. For me, I have never heard of them protecting the vessel. I don't know what they're protecting the vessel for. Try the next day. Sounds to me like you're tired. That's what that sounds like to me. It sounds like you're tired. It sounds to me like you've done too much or you're doing too much. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm not saying that that's true right now. It's just the feel I'm getting off the question in which that you're talking to me about. It has never personally happened to me, that. Never. I can't really say much more on that one. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you, Ma. My first shot didn't come through. I don't know what happened, Melinda. I don't know what happened at all. I didn't see it. I just seen the second bit. So let me know where you sit with them parameters. Teresa's saying, the calm and love when I saw the ball of light was indestructible. That's the beauty of working with energy. Energy, when we start putting facets in of pictures and people and this type of thing, we're not losing the spirit world, but we're diluting it. We're sort of, we're changing that piece of energy. We're changing it. We're adding on to it. We're putting bits in place, which then changes the frequency of it. We're interfering, basically. We're getting involved, which is something that I talk about an awful lot with my students. Get out the way. You know, stop getting involved. Learn to just give it as it comes. And a lot of my students get it. In fact, all of them get it. It just takes me sometimes a little bit of an alteration of the mind to get them where they need to be. But what you're really doing when you're adding extras in is you are diluting that energy. You're changing the vibration, you're changing the frequency, or you're changing it in order to fit your mind, because that's all your mind knows. And what we want to do is have your mind have nothing to know and just allow it as it needs to be. So I can appreciate what you're talking about there, Teresa, in the end. But what I will say, and I think this may be quite helpful to many of you on here, and maybe them who are watching further down the line, I know both sides of this coin. I know both of these. I understand the need to see imagery, and I understand the need to want to get involved. I get that. I would never not tell you that I don't get it, because I do. I've been in that position. I understand that position. What I will always say to you is that these things that I talk about here, as you move along the journey, and again, going back to Kathy's question earlier on, patience, you'll find that your development will change. It will grow. It will evolve. And that's why I said to you, try doing some this way and some that way. Because what that will do is allow your mind to start and accept that there is other ways to do things, and that you don't have to be so set in one way in order to get the kinds of results you're looking for. But I understand why you do what you do, and I get it, because I was once that medium. I would never say to people that I don't get it, because I do. And I never talk anything here on the channel that I haven't experienced or done something in my own capacity. What I will always say to you is there's always opportunities to grow. There's always opportunities to do it differently. It's about whether or not you're prepared to take a couple of risks to get where you want to be. So in answer to Teresa's question, I understand that and I get that. Not a problem. Hazel saying, will you be doing anything on trance? Yes. So I have a trance class running at the moment. Very, very good. I was in there on Wednesday night with them. Trance is a big thing for me. It's another sort of extra to my mediumship. Fell into that by complete chance, and so I tend to find that when I fall into things, it's meant to be. I've got to be honest with you on that one. In my development, not so much my personal life, but definitely in my development. Yes, is the answer in short to your question. That's going up in the next couple of weeks. So yes, watch out for that one, Hazel. I'd love to observe some transfer. I do transfer chief, and we are in the middle of building a new circle, which is a long time coming, because I haven't been away from it, but I have been away from it, if that makes sense. Keep an eye on the website, www.theupbuddschoolofmediumship.com. It will be available for you to have a look at there, Hazel. Not a problem. Let's have a look. Melissa's in. Hello, Melissa. Melinda saying, I was hearing, sensing, seeing, and feeling spirit until about 3 weeks ago, and then nothing. So energy more. So I'm thinking my gifts are changing. Last word from the guy was loud and clear. Yes, and your development will change. Definitely will change. You will definitely find that you are finding new ways to do your mediumship, and you will find that your mediumship is constantly evolving, changing and adapting. I did a video on this one, which I think was in regards to adapt you as the instrument are always being asked to develop in some way, whether it be personal development or whether it be that you learn to change and adapt your mediumship so that you get the very best from it. I understand all of that. I've got to be honest. Don't worry about it. Things will get better. As I say, sometimes when things aren't always going the way you want, actually what's actually going on in the background is a lot more than what you know about at this time. And we never get to know about anything until the time is right, especially with development, or anything else for that matter with regards to the spirit world. I've got to be honest, they're like a law to their own. That spirit world. Lots of people try to control them. Good luck with that one. That's all I'll say to that one, because the spirit world can't be controlled. It's too vast, it's too big, it's too intelligent to be controlled. But I appreciate anybody who tries to do that, and the best of luck to them. I've got to be honest with you on that one. But hang on in there, things will get better. Kathy saying, do your guides change, leave as you become more developed mediumship? And if so, do they tell you when they're leaving and what? So let me give you a story. Funny, I was just doing a story about this. I was talking to somebody today about this actually. So going back, maybe it's 5 years ago, I had the gentleman I have now, but I also had a gentleman called Bob. Bob was an amazing guy. I love Bob. He was my friend. And I was quite new in my development. Maybe he's only been at it maybe 2 years, 18 months. You know, I knew bits and pieces, but, you know, there was more for me to learn. And I knew there was a change. There was something different in my team. I knew something was different, but I didn't quite know what was different, if that makes sense, Kathy. And it felt as if it wasn't he was stepping back, but it seemed to be he was more and more fainter, if this makes sense. And so I brought my team together at that time with other different guides in that I don't have now, but I have some and I don't have others. And I said to the team, I said, look, I says, what's going on? Like, what am I missing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what am I missing here type of thing? And Bob stepped forward and he said, I'd like to talk to you, Dan. And I said, yeah, what's the matter? I says, is everything all right? You know, I love this guide. I have a great passion for guides. I've got to be honest. It's a big thing. I've done a lot of knowledge in them. I've done a lot of training in them. I understand them very well. And he said to us, I'm thinking about looking at other options. Well, it wasn't other options. I'm thinking of looking at other awarenesses. That's what he said to us. And I said, right, okay. I said, is there a particular reason for this? And he just said that he's interested in continuing his development. And I said, right. I says, can you not do that development in this team? And he said, well, he would like to look at other minds and how other minds work. And I said, okay, then not a problem. I said, so what are you proposing? And he says, well, I'm proposing to sort of go over and look at this and look at that, and still sort of, you know, come backwards and forwards. And I said, that's absolutely fine. That's not an issue. So for about 3 months that went on, and then he come back to us and he said to us that he had found a space that he felt was more, not beneficial, but more of his awareness, more where he was learning more consciously. And I said, right. And you know, there's no word like Kathy, I cried. I cried because he was an amazing guy. He was such a lovely soul. But I also understood that he needed to grow in that capacity. He had to evolve as that instrument or as that guide. And you know from time to time still pops back and says hello, and and asks how I'm doing and these types of things. So in answer to your question, do they change? Yes. Also, they will change, not because you're changing, but they may be because there is a difference in awareness between you and that guide now, or there may be different awarenesses that you're choosing to look at, Kathy. Do they tell you? Sometimes, 9 times out of 10, yeah. You know, if you've got a good team and you understand your team well enough, which is building that relationship with the spirit world, then there's not a lot that you shouldn't be able to sit down and talk to them at some point about. And they're very straightforward guides. They're not telling you, you know, they're not going to tell you lies or anything like that. That's not their purpose, nor is it their design. But, you know, some will, you know, I mean, I have had all of them. I don't, when people tell me, say they've had guides and then they just disappear. I never quite understand that, because that intelligence again is at play, that logical intelligence. If you've got a guide, unless you're telling that guide to step away, that guide will stay with you unless that guide has made the conscious decision to have a look around the spirit world and look at other minds, and then decided that they would like to work elsewhere. But if you said to that guide, and this is what we should never do when we're working with guides, and they express that they're interested in working elsewhere, is say to them, you can't. And the reason I want to say that to you for is because you're then stunting the growth of the development of that set of energy. So always remember that while things will leave, or people may go and look at different levels of consciousness, it would be restrictive of me if I said to Chief, no, you're not allowed to do that, or I don't want you to do that, because ultimately I would be restricting him, and I would never ever want to restrict anybody or any energy from learning, growing and evolving. So in all honesty, Kathy, yes, they do change and alter. Sometimes because the development, 9 times out of 10, it's more of a guide thing than it is your thing. They're just looking for new awarenesses. Do they tell you? In every case I've been with, yes is the answer to that question. But I appreciate, again, that's open to interpretation. I'm sure that some people may not agree with that, and that's okay with me too. I'll answer the question a little bit further anyway. Sarah Ball saying, thanks Danielle, I don't know what it's like. It was a warning, something was coming regarding the relative. It sounds to me a bit more like a psychic parameter there, Sarah. That's what that sounds like to me. But best of luck with all of that. Mar saying, that makes sense, I was tired. Yeah, and that's a big thing that I see a lot with personal readings or personal sittings. When we get tired, because the power, you are the power that powers the mind, that holds the mind in the spirit world, in the space. What tends to happen is you're burning energy, and then you also burn energy through speaking, talking, etc, etc, etc. You're burning massive amounts of energy. Then if you're quite highly clairvoyant, as we've just been talking about quite strongly in this stream, you're burning massive amounts of energy with clairvoyance. I don't think people realize just how much energy you're burning away there. And this is where we start to find, as your development starts to move forward, you should be working with a broad range of clairs. And I say this to my students quite a lot. We rely so heavily on clairvoyance because we feel we need it tangibly to look at. We don't think that the other feelings or the other sensory systems will assist us as good as the clairvoyance. And what you will find is, as you start to progress down that road, your clairvoyance will not turn off, but it will become more like snapshots. It may become where it's just a quick flick. And then you'll have other and additional sensory systems working alongside that to get you where you need to be. And that is a natural progression of your mediumship. And I know that personally through my own development. Some people may stay highly clairvoyant. I don't dispute that. I never get away from that. But I will always talk from my own personal experiences and where I said, do I say clairvoyant some days? Yeah, very, very well. Other days, it's touch and go, depending on where my mind is, how tired I am, and what I've had going on, if this makes sense. No, it doesn't burn any calories, Tracy. I wish it did. But I have been very good in that capacity. But no, it doesn't burn calories. Definitely not, Tracy. Definitely not. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you, Ma. Have you seen proven evidence of physical mediumship? Yes, categorically, hands down. No way could I have not seen what I saw. Definitely not. Definitely, it was just too. It was the spirit world at its finest. I'll be honest with you there, Nick. I've got to be honest. I've seen a few physical mediums over the last 3 to 5 years. Well, last 3 years. 5's probably a little too far stretched there. So last 3 years, maybe 3.5. And I've seen some phenomenal stuff, from some mediums who are just very, not so much strongly in the industry, to some that are some of the top in the industry. Some of the stuff I've seen is just unexplainable, mind-blowing, absolutely out this one. I've touched the spirit world. I was invited up to the cabinet, and the hands were coming out of the cabinet through ectoplasm. Yes, categorically, hands down. I couldn't say any more on that question, I've got to be honest, but yes, an answer to that one. Sarah says we can't be cheating out of our experience. That's why spirit never give you anything you have experiences grow. Is that right? Is that right? The spirit world's never gonna give you anything that is going to change your perspective, or is going to give you anything that will alter or change your free will. You're always in control, always. The spirit world is only ever available for guidance and assistance, and even then, and I say this again to a lot of my students, there's never a straight answer. You cannot get a straight answer out of them, because if you get a straight answer out of them, what's happening is they are interfering in the choices and decisions that you make, and that is not their purpose. And as much as it pains me to say this, I say you go on, oh, my guide's telling me to do this, my guide said to do this, my guide's telling me not to do this reading, my guide's saying this, my guide's saying that. Then that's not their purpose. Their purpose is only to assist you upon the journey in which that you walk. That's it. They cannot make decisions for you. They can't tell you to leave relationships. They can't tell you to stay around in relationships. They cannot do any of that. I gotta be honest, because it's not their job. It has to be your free will choice. They may say to you, weigh up the pros and cons of that relationship, Danielle. Weigh up, listen to your intuition, Danielle. That's what they say to me. How would you feel if you were 6 months down the line, Danielle? So they're asking me to explore it. They are guiding me, but not telling me. And a good spirit guide, a good teacher, a good person who shares knowledge will guide students, will guide their instruments. They will never tell them instruments what to say. They'll not tell them students what to do. They guide them to explore it for themselves, as is the spirit world will guide you to explore your parameters and for you to come to the conclusion of your own. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there, Sarah, for you. Paul's in. Good evening, Paul. Hi, Danielle. Hello, darling. What do we see when communication when sitting in the power? What does it feel like when I'm just imagining floating around on an old red wall, singing with shoes and movement, etc.? Everybody's experience is different, Paul. Everybody's. And when sitting in the power, no one is right, no one is wrong. As long as you make sure that when you are sitting, you're sitting for the spirit world, so you're in the spirit world and not sitting in the psychic parameters. It's something I say quite a lot. A lot of people are sitting in what I call their own energy, the psychic parameter, but haven't actually moved the mind and are now holding and staying within the spiritual realms in order to work with the spirit world. So I have to, because in the psychic parameters, the imagination is at play. We are conjuring it up, as I say. When we go to the spirit world, it's already available to you. It is there. It is real. It is accessible. When you're sitting in the psychic world, you're always having an opportunity for the what we call the monkey mind to run rampant. But what I will say to you is everybody's experience of working with the sitting in the power for the spirit world, it's your experience, yours alone. It's not mine. I can't tell you whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. All I will say to you is make sure that you're not sitting in the psychic parameters and you are sitting for the spirit world. If I was to tell you whether it was right, wrong, or indifferent, that's taking the experience away from you, and that's not something I'm prepared to do as a person who shares knowledge. It's my job to guide people, not to tell them. There's a difference, all right? So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you, Paul. Kathy saying thank you, makes complete sense. Hello to Bob. I haven't seen him in a little while, but I'm sure he'll turn up. Paul says, is it rude to ask every day for evidence each week when I sit in the power? Proof is not just imagination. I don't want to be rude in the spirit world. Again, I like that. I like that a lot, I've got to be honest with you, Paul. And a lot of my students who sit in my class will know I talk about this quite heavily, the lack of respect for the spirit world. And for me personally, the spirit world's always wanting to prove that what they're showing you is true, right, and accurate. It's about how you approach them in that saying. So for example, you go in and go, I want proof, instead of saying, would it be possible for me to be able to get some proof from you? Would you be able to validate that for me, please? I would be grateful if you could assist me in this area. I would be accommodating if we could come together as a team and discuss and talk about the things that are necessary. They're the kinds of statements you want to be using, not I want to see these spirit people. I want names. Tell me your name. Tell me it now. then that's the kinds of things you see going on. You see the difference between that versus that, and that there will get you probably a bad rap in the spirit world. That will get the spirit worlds back up, because what we have to understand here is the highly intelligent people, all guides have been earthbound at some point, which means there's still a level of human in them, even though their consciousness is far vastly bigger than ours are. But you know yourself, you didn't want somebody standing here being mean to you. You didn't want somebody standing telling you what to do. You didn't want somebody constantly coming at you, going da all of the time. So all I would say is when you're asking for them types of things, Paul, just make sure the manner in which that you ask for them, or the manner in which that you approach them, or how you speak to them, will fundamentally get you the answers and the evidence and the knowledge or guidance in which that you're looking for. So I hope it answers your question a little bit there for you. Tracy's laughing. You're going good, right, Tracy Pet? Melanie saying, thank you. One more. Do you open crown channels for spirit communication, or is that just for angels? I don't do any of that. I don't know. Now, so let me help you. So when I first started out, and the teaching is, or the sharing of knowledge is, because I don't really like that word teaching, because it's like telling somebody. Was the sharing of knowledge was to open up each chakra before you start work, and then close each chakra down when you stop moving. Now what you have to understand here with the chakra system is the chakra system is part of the psychic parameters, this world. It's got nothing to do with the spirit world, because we're shifting the mind into a different awareness in order to work. We're giving them our mind. We're not giving them the energy system that is the chakra system. The chakra system is the instrument, you. The instrument is the personal development, how you work your work, how you present your work, how you present yourself to the public, how you alter and change things. So for me, I don't do any of that. But in the beginning, the sharing of knowledge in which that I was taught was to do them things. I subsequently scrapped that maybe about 4.5 years ago, and I just learned to be disciplined with my mind. I'm disciplined with the thoughts that I produce. I'm disciplined with the way in which that I work now. Maybe it's up until about 3 years ago, I was still a little bit maybe not quite right with that one, but I've made huge improvements in that area over the last, I would say, 2.5 years, where I'm disciplined. I only think about the spirit world, I'm in the spirit world. And when I'm not working with the spirit world, I'm not working with the spirit world. I don't look for them. I don't talk to them unless it is necessary for a good purpose, if this makes sense. A lot of people, especially newbie mediums, and I understand this, I get it, they're looking for the spirit world because they don't believe that they're going to turn back up, or they think that they're not going to be there, or they're not going to be able to talk to them, or whatever. So they're constantly looking for the spirit world. And I get that. I've been in that position. If I hadn't been in that position, I wouldn't be able to talk to you about that, and I wouldn't be able to share these knowledges. So I always say to people that, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You're not doing anything wrong there. But what you're going to have to learn to do is clean your mediumship up. As much as it pains me to say this, you become like a leaky medium. You're just leaking all over. You're constantly tapping in. You're constantly tuning in. You're constantly looking for them. So you got to get disciplined with your mediumship. Chakras and all of that. I mean, I look at mediumship very differently, and I'm sure that, you know, many of you wouldn't be sitting here unless you looked at it a bit differently. And maybe my understanding of the spirit world is a little bit more far-fetched than, you know, maybe it's what's out there. And a lot of people will disagree with what I talk about in respect of energy. They'll disagree in the fact that everybody thinks that they're touching the auric field. For me, when we start looking at it from an energy frequency, it just doesn't make sense. And I'm a big believer when it doesn't make sense. And I've worked tirelessly with the spirit world, talked to many different individuals over there, and they're all coming back with the same stuff. And some of these people, I think, have been over there a few years. I mean, I'm not that really interested in that. I'm interested in the knowledge. That's what I'm interested in. So for me, to be working with psychic parameters and stuff, and chakras and that, they're of the human body, and they've got absolutely nothing to do with the spirit world in any capacity. And what you can do is, if you're opening and closing them, you're interfering and disturbing your own psychic parameters. So maybe that's why you're feeling a bit off. Do you know what I mean? If you're feeling a little off and things aren't going too well, It could be the fact that you're opening and closing chakras. Chakras are meant to be left alone and only touched upon if you're going through some kind of emotional disturbance. And even then, nobody can clean chakras for you. Nobody. Right now, I know many will disagree with that, and I appreciate all of that, and I hear you in that capacity. But for me, how can you clear chakras? Because chakras have to be changed and altered through the thought-based matter. Your thought-based matter. Your thought-based matter is what puts the chakra system out of whack. So, i.e., if you're thinking negatively, that's what you're going to be putting into the chakra system. The chakra system then is going to become clogged up. Your energy is going to become clogged up. And then if you're shutting them down, then you're clogging all that stuff in. And it can't get out until you open them back up. And if you're chucking more negative thoughts in, it's just like a conundrum of just stuff with nowhere to go. So my advice would be to leave the chakra system alone, get some positive affirmings in there, get aligned with who you are, sit in your own psychic energy and clean it up in regards to using positive affirmings, and then find the spirit world using your shift of the mind. I hope that helps you a little bit there with that one. Hazel saying, do you ever get messages from spirit who have committed terrible crimes here for past? Yeah, I've done Virgo. I've done messages that have been quite graphic. I think I talked about this one before. I was doing a Facebook Live once. I wasn't that well. I was been in a mediumship a little while, maybe 3 and a bit year. And I was doing, at the time I was doing Facebook Lives, and I remember the stream was really busy. I remember becoming aware of this young girl in the background, and she had this sort of white top on, and there was blood in between her legs, and I just knew Hazel. I thought, this is, and at the time, I think as a new medium, my mind is quite open, but my mind was probably more open then. And I did actually give that communication, and the little girl had been abducted from somewhere down in Wales, and actually her sister, she was looking for a mum, but her mum's sister was on the stream, which was her auntie. So I've done connections like that. I've done connections where somebody's blown somebody away with a shotgun, and these types of things. I've done a fair few over the years, I've got to be honest. They're not something I look for, but there's something that does become available if they're available in the room to me. My mind is available for them things, but I wouldn't say it's something that I always like to do a lot of. And the reason being is they can be quite heavy on you. Them types of communications, they can be a bit tough, but very good for bigger awarenesses, building the database, certainly pushing the boundaries of your mediumship. And I would always recommend that people do try to work with some of them, or at least try and sort of do some of them from time to time. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you, Hazel. Paul saying, thank you, you've helped me massively. Not a problem. Not a problem. You're an awesome educator, Danielle. Well, that's very kind of you to say, Paul. I'm a big believer in, Paul, allowing people to be what they need to be. It's not my job to be shouting from platforms saying you should do this and you should do that. You're going to find your own place. You're going to find your own way. Most people just want a little bit of steadiness. That's all they want. Just a hand out. Just a bit. Let them just... You disempower mediums when you take from them. You tell them what to look for. You tell them what to say. You're disempowering them. We should be actively encouraging and empowering mediums to find the next step for themselves, while you stand and just observantly watching. And if they fall, sort of just nudge them up, but don't completely take over, is the best way I can put it. But I thank you very much for your beautiful comments. It's very kind of you. Melinda's saying, brilliant, thank you. Oh my god, I found you a year ago. I'm overthinking. Yeah, it sounds to me like you are a little bit. Yes, I would agree to that. So again, I'm just going to quickly talk about the boring stuff, which is ultimately classes, courses, and all them types of things. Development, that type of thing is available via www.theutbuddschoolofmediumship.com. Also, my new school is opening with its first course, which is nearly a sellout. in person here in the northeast of England. I do have a school which is available for 5-day residential courses with accommodation and food included in the price of the course. The first one is available from the 25th of June, and it is available to not only UK students but also students all around the world if you'd like to travel in. Also, you can find us on Facebook, so certainly do find us on Facebook and Instagram if you're looking to connect with us in them areas, because I know some of you like to follow me on other social media platforms. What else is there we can talk about? That's it in that capacity. There is stuff in the link description box below, so if you want to check that out, certainly do. Sarah's saying, have you ever helped the police in any way? No, nah. I've never been invited to do cases. No, as the answer to that question, no. Paul saying, is it true that spirit world only allows spirit experiences that are for us individual our level like training? Is that true? Or will I stumble on some major shocking breakthrough? You'll have them epiphanies from time to time, Paul. I get them every now and then myself. I'm like, oh, I get it now. Yes, like lights on, you know. You will experience many different things with your mediumship. Some of it will be incredibly beneficial. Some will be, like I say, aha moments, like, oh my God, I get it now, you know, wow, oh, wow. And then others will be like, oh my God, I don't understand any of this. And that is what mediumship's all about. I've got to be honest, mediumship's like that. For me personally, I find it, I like that kind of roller coaster ride, you know, but that's just me. Not everybody likes that, but it's something you will become accustomed to, and it's something that you will find easier to manage, is the best way I can put it. You learn to manage the spirit world. You can't control them, but you learn to manage them. You learn to manage it. Like I say, it's the spirit world, my guides and me. We're a team. We manage. We work together for the benefit of not only myself, but my guides and my team, and also the spirit world, because you have to take into consideration all them 3 elements. And then I have a 4th element, which is my sitter. So if I'm doing communications, or if I'm doing platform, or I'm doing any kind of private setting, I've then got to have that other element brought in there as well. So there's actually 4 elements of that connection, which I think is an important part of your mediumship development, to understand that you must be aware that there will be some great highs in mediumship, but also some great lows. And I always say to people, and I say this all the time, and I said it previously in the stream, it's important that we understand that, you know, through them lower, what we call downward moments, if that makes sense, that's when your greatest learning will occur. I wish you the very best of luck on your journey, Paul, very much so. Tracy's saying, I hear that you say that about guides not giving advice. Does that mean that when I was in my room and there were 3 books on my beach that there were? No, not necessarily, no. So the 3 books, but there'll be nothing in there to predict the future. There'll be nothing in there to sort of tell you what to do. The books will be there, but yeah, I think you'll either have a hard job reading them, or you'll have a hard job trying to work out what's in them. The guide, normally when you say books is normally about knowledge. So they may be saying to you, you're going to learn some new knowledge, but they'll not tell you what that knowledge is. That's the way they go, unfortunately. They'll tell you you're going to learn knowledge, but they'll not tell you who's going to teach you the knowledge, or where you're going to get that knowledge from. So no, it's not the psychic parameter. It's just that you have to have you need to look at the interpretation you're putting around. If you see the books in there and you're saying, oh well, this book's all about psychic, and this book's about animals, and this book's about this, I knew the books were there. You knew that. That's fine. That's not a problem knowing the books were there. But you'll not know what's in the books. And if you try to guess what's in the books, then that would be psychic. Because the books is only a representation of the spirit world talking to you, whatever books means to you, of course. But for me, when I say books in the spirit world, it's knowledge. I'm learning something, whether it be mediumistically, whether it be personally, whether it be, I'm going to take some new training, etc., etc., etc. It depends. It's when the books start telling you stuff. It's when the books start predicting. It's when the books start leading you down a path. That's when you have to question, is it psychic or is it mediumistic? If you understand the laws and the intelligence up there, They're not going to tell you what's in the books. They're just going to make you aware that the books are there. The rest of it would then be psychic if you're getting more on it. So I hope that answers your question a little bit. Paul saying, roller coaster. Yes, it is a roller coaster. I would agree. You're my new biggest fan. Thanks. Well, if you are my biggest fans, you can like this video for me, and you can certainly share it into some groups or on your Facebook walls, or, you know, whatever it is that you lovely, lovely lot do out there. Any more questions? I am back, I think, in about a fortnight's time. I just need to double check some dates with the other people of my team, and I can certainly double check that, and I'll probably, if it's available, it'll be put up in the next couple of days. Any other questions from you lovely lot? It's short and sweet this evening, but we'll certainly be doing more of these. If that is a wrap, then that is an end to it. I thank you all for liking the video and sharing it, you know, wherever it is you share it. It certainly helps with the channel. Certainly helps with the algorithm and, you know, all of these types of things also. Like I say, I will be getting another one up in the next week or two, but I just need to check some dates before I take or put things down in that capacity. Anything else, you can get us via Facebook, Instagram, or you can certainly get involved with me via the website, which is www.theoddbodschoolofmediumship.com. Teresa saying, did you have to deal with people close to you, understand, or wanting to talk about mediumship? I've had that issue, yeah. I have a mum who's a total skeptic. She doesn't believe in anything I do. My brother's been to see me demonstrate, as my father. Me personally, Teresa, I don't really have a big, you know, I don't really have this big sort of close-knit family. Not that, you know, it's not because we don't care about each other. It's just we're all very busy people in my family. We're all a bit of workaholics, like, I've got to be honest. And obviously, you know, other family members live at a distance and that type of thing. So it's, for me, the only issue, it's not an issue, I wouldn't say it was an issue, I'd just say my mum's, but I don't think that's because my mum doesn't believe. I think it's just like me and Anna's going to come through and tell her off. I've got to be honest with you on that one. Have I dealt with them? I don't think my family, as long as I'm happy, Teresa, my family's happy. As long as I'm happy, then they're happy, if that makes sense. You know, have I lost a lot of friends and that because of mediumship? Yeah, because I just don't do the things that they want me to do, which is drinking every night, or, you know, them types of things. And you will find that as you move along that journey, that the things that once interest you don't interest you anymore, you know, and vice versa. So, for me personally, not really, no. But I know other mediums out there who have had to deal with that and sort of hide their mediumship away because they're frightened of the repercussions of them things, and I can appreciate that, and I understand all of that. My advice to people there is try not to hide who you are, because when you hide who you are, you're hiding part of you which is authentic. But I also understand why people don't do it, and I understand why some people have different names on Facebook, you know, don't have pictures up, you know, all of these types of things. I get all of that. It's got to be how you want to do it, because it's your development, your mediumship, and your understanding, and it's not really anybody else's place to understand your journey or what you're doing upon that journey. It's important that you stay authentically true to you, and that's something I will always promote here on the channel, always, and anything I do, to be honest. What you see is what you get with me. I didn't always get it right, I've said that many times before, but I always do my very, very best. I am going to leave all that with you this evening. It's been a pleasure, my lovely lot. I will be back, and please do tell people about the channel. It really does help with the channel. For all the other things and the things I talk about, certainly come on over and check us out. It'll be a pleasure to have you with us, and I will see you as soon as I've checked the dates out with the other parts of my team. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for your energy, your time, your questions, and it's been a pleasure to be back on YouTube, because it's been too long, I've got to be honest. I missed yous all over here. Have a great evening, great day, wherever you are in the world. I will see yous all very, very soon. Bye for now.